Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, every single one of you. How are you guys doing? Welcome to Hey Let's Talk on Empire Radio 360. I want to give sincere apologies for the delay in our startup time here, but at least we're here. We're here, and that is what matters. That is what exactly matters. I want to say welcome to this beautiful Friday time on Hey Let's Talk on Empire Radio 360. You know my name already. I go by the name Godwyn OD, a regular boy on the show here, and it's always indeed a good time. One of my exciting moments and reasons why I'm always excited is because it's a time for us to learn. It's a time for us to discuss and converse with every single one of you on the show. I want to say, as you join us right now, please get our links out to everyone that indeed you know and you would love to be part of the conversation today. Please, as well as like I always say, as you join us on the show, share our links now. The way Jerry Eze always tell you, share it now, share it now. That's what I'm telling you now, to get our links out right now and bring everyone that you know to be part of the discussion, and let's also have a good time. As you follow us, also we're streaming live from our Instagram platform, Empire Africa One Live, Empire Africa One Live on Instagram, and on Facebook, Empire Africa One. On Facebook, Empire Africa One. Please do well to get our links out to everyone that you know to be part of the conversation. Okay, without any further time taken, today we are going to be discussing something very, very, very interesting. That's the way I'll put it. It's a conversation of very high interest, and today we have someone who's going to do justice to this conversation. Today, we have in our discussion the legalization of arms for Nigerian citizens. There's a high level of insecurity in the country right now, a very high level of insecurity, and we came to the conclusion that with the limitation that people have on how they protect themselves, how they guard themselves, what is the way forward? Is this something that people can look forward to? Is this something that people should be optimistic about? Is this something that people should have as a plan B, as a backup plan to helping themselves? And today we have someone who's going to do justice to this conversation to us. He's someone I have high respect for. He is, of course, an innovative, talented legal practitioner with a strong ethos of excellence and professionalism. His experience in corporate and commercial law practice. He was called to a Nigerian bar in 2007. He lives and he practices his profession here in Lagos, Nigeria, the economic capital of Nigeria. Of course, he's currently he is currently the managing partner of Golden Gates, yes, of Golden Gates Legal, a legal service and consulting firm, and the managing partner in the Code 4 Nigerian, a leading e-corporate service firm of Nigeria. Is happily married with, I think, two beautiful daughters, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Two beautiful daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me make welcome for the first time on the show himself, Mr. Ginika Uche, or Mr. Uche Ginika. I would have called him barrister, but let me know.
Thank you.
Mr. Uche Ginika, you're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Please, we will forgive the late in startup time. You know, there are some things I used to pass our power. Village people sometimes used to work.
Yes.
In some situations. Okay, so without any other time taken, we'll just go straight into the conversation. The legalization of arms in Nigeria for Nigerian citizens, and this has come from a place of the high level of insecurity. I want to say welcome to all our viewers. If you're joining us, I see Mentor More, Uche, the man for the job. Exactly. Barrister is the man for the job. I see you all. I see Sammy _ Let's Boy, you joined the show. To every one of you joined the show, please get our links out and get everyone that you know to be part of our conversation right here, right now. Okay, so sir, insecurity was the motivating factor to this topic coming up.
Yeah.
A very high level of insecurity to the extent that even the common man within his own environment is not so secure anymore. There's no guarantee even in the smallest space.
Absolutely.
In Nigeria, unfortunately. So it has brought about this conversation to see if it's something that can be sane enough to be practiced in Nigeria. So the first question is, what is your opinion about, what's your opinion from a legal point of view? Your opinion from a legal point of view about this opinion, the pros, the cons. What's your opinion about the legalization of arms for Nigerian citizens?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me firstly say that, you see, this will be like a shocker.
Mm.
It's legal to own firearms in Nigeria.
Okay.
It's legal. So when we're talking about legalization, it's already legal.
Legal.
So, but we could be talking about restriction to the extent level of use and ownership and who can own or use or deal on ammunition. So basically this issue of ammunition, firearms is covered under Firearms Act 1959.
Okay.
Okay, it's cap F24, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. So this law already made it possible for private citizens to own a certain level of firearms in Nigeria. So firstly, I'd like to say it's legal to own firearms in Nigeria. The only difference is that you and I as private citizens need license. The military, police,
Okay.
they have access to guns, so it's legal to use guns in Nigeria.
But they could say those ones are law enforcers, so they might need it for defense, and they'll always find like excusable reasons.
No,
So
it's
why?
a provision of the law. The law permits them to have access to those guns
Okay.
and ammunition because that's what they use for their work. So I like to say, under the Firearms Act, private citizens can apply under Section 3, Section 4 for personal firearms to protect themselves for any reason. So in Nigeria, as far as you're 18 years of age, you have sound mind, you don't have criminal.
Sound
yes,
mind.
I must say
is
sound
very
mind.
key, because you
Someone
just said something on someone just said
Yes.
firearms for a set of people who are largely mentally unstable, a bad move.
Yes,
That's what someone just
so
said now,
there are
yeah.
conditions. Okay, so you want a firearm, you can approach the Commissioner of Police in your state and apply for firearms. Okay, you state your reasons. As far as you're 18, they'll conduct background check. That's a proper thing to make sure you've not been convicted in the past 5 years for any crime or violence or something like that. You have temperate mind. You're sane mind. Okay, you have good eyesight.
Okay.
Very
These are key. Very, very key.
Yes, they are all provisions of the law. And if you have temperate habit, clean criminal record, above 18, you have access to, you should have ordinarily access to guns if you have good enough reason. Okay, so the rule is you apply, okay, they will do the due diligence, and if they approve the application, they ask you to go purchase a gun. You purchase, come back, register it, they license you, take the serial number. You understand? So we have the law in place to make private citizens own guns legally. So but then if I will go on, okay, when they give you license, it expires at the end of every year, 31st December, so you have to renew.
Oh.
Let me underscore something. Number one is that these licenses, this is where we have issues, are not given as of right. Okay, so I'll right away start differentiating, for example, the law in Nigeria and the law in some Western countries, precisely, I'll use United States.
Okay.
In United States of America, under the Second Amendment to their Constitution, it is as of right. But they said the right of citizens to own a gun shall not be infringed. So you see the law like fighting for the right of private citizens to own guns. But in Nigeria, the law comes this way in Section 3 of Firearms Act that you are not permitted to own a gun or use a gun or have access to a gun or be in the custody of a gun except you have a license. So you see, it's now the difference is the will. The mind of Nigerian security system does not ordinarily want to allow you and I, private citizens, to own guns.
Yeah.
But in United States of America, the mind of the law is that your access and right to guns should be unrestricted.
But the Nigerian, you could understand it. Is it understandable?
I don't know how to understand that. Like, we all are human beings. We all are living in countries that have security issues. So
You know why I say so? Because
Yes.
Nigerians are emotional people.
I don't agree.
Okay.
We all are human beings. Like core. And every right is, when we talk about rights, they are inherent. So America, for example, chose to make it an inherent right, inalienable right of their citizens. In Nigeria's case, like it's not recognized that way as an inalienable right. So it's seen as something we should ordinarily not have access to, except we have a license.
Someone says, Mentor Moore says, in Nigeria home, we don't have the control. We don't have the control infrastructure to track those who get the license.
Now you're talking. Thanks, Mentor Moore. So you see, the inability for Nigeria to maintain a standard database, I think that is a real issue. It's still the same issue that sometimes we complain about our government. It's about structure, okay? Right now, I think there is a law, it's still in the bill form, that are trying to set up a commission to manage the database. Because that's a problem. Ordinary thumbprint, see, we don't have data in Nigeria, especially centralized data. How many identification cards do we have? Yet we are not able to synchronize them yet fully. So ordinarily, right now, I mean, International Passport, NIN is help. They are both helping with database, okay, and they are synchronizing. But what about driving license? What about voter's card? I still have two. Okay, so it's recently that, you know, you can go online and update your voter's card and link your NIN with
Still a problem, though.
Still a problem, yes. So data is still an issue, and I agree with Mentor Mo. Yes, these are the poor infrastructure and systems that beset us in Nigeria. Why I know these are difficult to practice. But it doesn't mean that the right to own guns as set by the law should be ignored. Okay, so that's the law. Now, there are three kinds of firearms, basically, the law provides for. There is the one in the first schedule. Section 3 permits only the president to grant license for that type. Okay, so those are when you talk about military guns.
Yeah.
Talk about heavy artillery.
Those ones are for
Do you
war
understand?
now.
For war. So it's only president that can give license to that. Then there is the middle ground that, so okay, talk about pistols, you know, automatic guns, what are rocket propelled, all those ones they are prohibited. They cannot give you license as a private citizen. But there are personal firearms in Schedule 2, okay, that you and I, as private citizens, ordinarily should have the right to access. You understand? Under the law. So all we have to do is to go show probable cause like that we have valid reason. Then you know the problem? Both the one, so this second level of guns, you can get license to access them through the IG of police. The first one is only the president. Those military heavy guns is military president that can give the license. I mean, they set up the structure for that. IG of police, you can apply. So whether through state commissioner for police, they get the license, the approval from, you know, the IG. You can own a gun. But those are basically shotguns, long barrel, you know, double barrel, all those not too heavy
Everyone.
you know, guns. So they are private guns. There are the third level, like the Dane guns, muzzle loading guns. So those ones are the lower brands. They don't travel far. The governor and commissioner of police can give access to that. You know, those ones, some of them they use for hunting and all that. Those local
all those,
guns,
yes, all those local
you can
ones.
get license to own them. So that's the law as it is today. Unfortunately, okay, the law still gives the president right to revoke any of these licenses. Number one is that it is at their discretion. Presidency, IGP, COPs, their discretion to give those licenses. So these are the challenges we have. And for me, if there is something we should do, I will still give my opinion, but maybe let me keep my opinion.
And your opinion is what we called you here for.
Okay.
You can for your opinion.
Yeah, so the truth is that in view of the current situation in Nigeria, I think we should begin to relax the restriction on access to guns. But what did we get? In 2019, 22nd May or something precisely, the president revoked every existing legal license. Permits, certificates that people had that gave them license to own the guns, private guns they had, personal firearms they had to revoke them. So imagine the predicament that executive order put Nigerians in. The order did not really go after illegal guns. The order went after legally recognized guns. So the few resistance the private citizens would have had, okay, to protect themselves, you took it away. So headsmen could now run haywire. kidnappers run haywire, Nigeria becomes very, very unsafe place to live in. So I'll stop at this note. I think the government should do something.
Okay, thank you so much, because that was very, very expository and detailed. If you're joining us, you're welcome to Hey Let's Talk on Empire Radio 360, and we're streaming from our Instagram platform, Empire Africa 1 Live. Empire Africa 1 Live. Hunters and farmer had farms in the old days. That's what Mentor Mo says. Hunters and farmer had farms in the old days. If you're watching us from Facebook, we're streaming on Empire Africa 1 on Facebook, Empire Africa 1 on Facebook. I take that again, Empire Africa 1 Live on Instagram, Empire Africa 1 on Facebook. If you're following us, if you're joining us from any of these platforms, we say thank you for sticking around with Empire Radio 360. Ola Dakwa, I see you. Legalization of guns is a no-no. Well, the truth is, if you're just coming in, you've missed a certain part of a breakdown that Mr. Uche Ginika had given us, an introductory breakdown of this conversation, but then we're still going to go further on the conversation. So, Barrister, my next question to you is, the pros and cons of this idea as a lawyer, can this help reduce the situation of legal practitioners attending to cases of illegal manslaughter?
Okay, thank you. So, coming to the aspect of pros and cons, let me tell you the truth. That debate, nobody will ever win it. Till today, America has not won it. I have another issue in Nigeria, which is poor data, statistics. Some of these laws that we recommend come with poor stakeholders review and statistics. Like, we are ordinarily supposed to have carried out some research to find out what is the impact in Nigeria so far of not having guns. You know, private citizens not having like easier access to guns. Because see, when they say at their discretion, sure say you will get when you apply. Do you understand? And like, you can't really argue it. Okay? So I don't know. I've not applied before, so I don't know. So, but I know that it comes at a very high price. Okay. So, but then, should we not consider what is the impact of letting citizens have access to guns and not letting them have access to guns? I don't think we have that data yet.
I'm sorry, sir. Kalio Nikal, I see you. Welcome. We're talking about the legalization of arms in Nigeria. Okay, sir.
Yes. So, firstly, is that this argument could end at your word against mine. We don't have data to support it, at least in Nigeria.
The assumptions.
Yes. In foreign climes, they have data. They don't have the impact of guns. They could tell you that within the last 1 year in 2021, they had increase, of people accessing guns. Do you understand? As against the data they had of people like accessing guns the previous year. We don't have these in Nigeria. So how can we match use of guns with as cause of violence or insecurity in Nigeria? Like, how do we match access or increase access to guns as the major cause of increase in insecurity in Nigeria? We don't have that data. So, but let me give my opinion, because I don't have a ready data to support my opinion.
Yeah.
But the truth is, let's look at developed climes. And yes, I know we will also say Nigeria is not as developed as America, for example, because we don't have good database. But who said we can't start somewhere? Do you understand? Start somewhere. And like I said, I'll still cite that bill, okay? I think 2021, they have brought up a fresh bill, like to have a central office to manage the issue of database of gun licenses. You understand? So I'm sure when we have that, it's easier to track, okay, misuse of these guns and firearms in case they increase individuals' access to it. So for the pros and cons, yes, if you have a firearm and unfortunately you are of an intemperate person, you can control yourself. In the slightest argument, you could use it. Yes.
I was going to ask on that.
Yes. No, it's given. But my brother, is it only gun? At the shortest provocation, people break bottles.
Somebody said Nigerians lack the sense of cause and effect. Adding guns to the mix is like lightning gunpowder.
Personally, I would like to, differ on the use of Nigerians in a generic sense. I don't agree. Okay, I see Nigerians as human beings as well as Americans. the difference could be enlightenment. So what is our National Orientation Agency
There's
doing?
always a peculiarity with these people from different climes, you know?
Yes.
So that's the thing. Because even, I might be wrong,
Yes.
but a Yoruba man, for example, now, you can say he might be loud in Nigeria. There's always going to be that trait that you know this is a Yoruba man even when you are outside. There are possibilities that you could easily detect. So what I'm saying is, apart from traits, behavioral factor also comes to play in certain classification of people and where they come from, how they speak, how they behave, how they react. So that's why most of the time, a lot of things, I stand to be corrected, but a lot of things trigger annoyances in Nigeria. Nigerians will trigger ourselves a lot.
Naturally.
I know it's a normal thing for human beings to disagree. It's a normal thing for humans to, get into heat. But our heat here is not ordinary. And we don't even have legalization of arms. Let's make use of Lagos, for example. We are here in this Lagos state. We know how insane literally almost everyone is when it comes to things, when it comes to reacting to probably the bus driver, to someone's things just trigger you.
Yes.
Put all these things into consideration and then now put in play that arm has been legalized. Are we not at a disadvantage, a heavy disadvantage?
Like I said, we can't win that argument. It's about pros and cons. So yes to that. Yes to that, okay? We could say that we don't have much enlightenment in Nigeria or literacy to the extent that people understand fully the implication of their actions. But they are responsible, okay? So, that like I sincerely try to equate. Someone who could misuse guns can misuse cutlass. Someone who could misuse gun can misuse any equipment. They call it a weapon. Anything. There are some people that the slightest provocation, they will find whatever they call weapon. So, yes, it's not about guns. It's about Nigerians understanding the implication that there is consequence for every action. Like, seriously, some don't think. And yes, we are still a developing country, so there is room for reorientation. So that can be done. That can be handled. Okay,
someone said something.
Thank you.
He said we lack the resources to facilitate the legalization of guns. Imagine a country like Nigeria where private individuals have whips in their car and use it freely. Imagine a gun.
Yes.
Koboko.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to ask the question. So let's look at we've been looking at the cons. Let's look at the pros. Imagine a situation where you're traveling, okay, from the Lagos to the east, for example, or from Abuja, okay, to Nasarawa, for example, and you have gun with you, licensed gun, and kidnappers stop you people, and before they could stop you, by the time they released one shot, two persons that have licensed guns release 3 shots, pick down one of them, and the driver makes escape. Imagine how much kidnappers will think twice before they flag down vehicles, because they don't know who has matching weapons. See, this call for let's not just say legalization, like I said, it's already legal, but more access, okay, to guns. It's not. A lot of governors are already clamoring for that. Governor Otom, all this year, Governor Otom of Benue State has been saying, give me access to not even personal firearms. He set up a volunteer force, like, security, state security. Okay. And he said, don't just give me ordinary personal firearms. I'm even asking for AK-47. That's what he said. So why? Because he said that the headsmen that attack them and attack helpless farmers, attack helpless citizens, have access to AK-49.
And that's illegal.
That's illegal. But then the few people that had access to legalized licensed guns, you revoked it. So it's about 0 to 100. Imagine playing a match against 11 against 2. That's what it's like fighting kidnappers. Matching kidnappers. So look at the pros, okay? From this perspective, for me, should look at the pros, okay? And then look at the guidelines. There are still rules. You don't give... There are psychological evaluations, background checks that go on before you give license. Okay, that's ordinarily what should happen. before license is given to anybody. That's what happens in Western climes. In fact, in US, you don't really need a license to go to access a gun. All they need to do is federally is to conduct background check on you. Okay, that you don't have indictment, you have, case you don't have criminal record and all that. Okay, so even some state laws that try to have some form of license is still about the same thing as background check, and that is what we have in Nigeria already. They say you need a gun. Come tell us why you need a gun. So why should a private citizen in Nigeria not be able to approach the commissioner of police and say, I need a gun. In my neighborhood, they always rob us in the night. Give me license. Register this gun, the serial number, the bullets, everything. Give me license, wherever I can buy these things from.
Thank you very much. That's quite very detailed. I am Classic DJ Venom. I see you, my man. Thank you for joining the show. If you're still with us, you're on to Hey Let's Talk on Empire Radio 360. We're streaming live from Instagram, Empire Africa 1 Live, and on Facebook, Empire Africa 1. Okay, so Olada Pop says, let's also look at our cultural background. In the past, like in the times of old, our pre-colonial society never permitted the individual use of weapons, hence the existence of warriors and hunters. I don't know if that comment is complete, but if there's still more to it, please bring it up on Oladapop. Yeah. But he spoke about in the pre-colonial society. The pre-colonial society never permitted the individual use of weapons, hence the existence of warriors and hunters. Warriors could be likened to soldiers of today, because they are the same people that try to protect and give security to the people. But having dealt with the aspects that we dealt with, the next question is, okay, like I said, and I knew his comment was not complete. He said, if you ever find yourself in an ambush situation where using guns will further complicate the issue, also increase civilian casualties, Nigeria as a country is simply not ready for arm legalization. Malada Pop, we've already been informed that it's already legalized. It is already legalized. But now from what he's saying, that means if I can bring out another message that I understand from his point, that means if it's already legalized, it should be taken. That means that legalization should already be taken up, because from what he said if you ever find yourself in an ambush situation where using guns will further complicate the issue and also increase civilian casualties, Nigeria as a country is simply not ready for arm legalization. That means since it's already legalized, it should be revoked. What's your take on this, sir?
I don't agree. Again, that is that generalization I personally disagree with.
But when you're making a comparison, you talk based on generic reactions.
So I am talking based on human rights. I'm talking based on human rights, that everybody has right to self-defense. From that perspective, this is still the reason why in Western climes they permit that access to guns.
And in Western climb, they've always had issues with these things too. I was even going to ask if the case of self-defense will be valid in such situations.
Of course. And that is the idea. We're not calling for guns for assault. We're not calling for guns, access to guns, or unrestricted access to guns, or at least less restricted access to guns. It's for self-defense. It's to actually help manage the security situation in the country. We're trying to say, see, who does not know in Nigeria today that you can't travel safely anymore? Do you think it's just because of machetes? No, it's because they carry guns, heavy guns, military-grade guns. Do you understand? They have access to those guns. How they get it illegally? So we are saying, why don't you consider less restricted access to guns for local security? And then private citizens who you will carry background checks. I mean, these laws are there. We are saying let there be less restricted access. For example, the presidency gave us a feel of, their mind towards gun control in 2019 when they revoked the licenses of people through an executive order. Though it's believed that it's illegal because the access to guns is a provision of an act of the National Assembly. You can't use executive order to revoke people's licenses that were granted under a law. You understand? So that's another issue, okay? But that tells us the mind of the ruling class, okay? Now, not ruling class, precisely the president, the executive. So they don't yet understand. You see, when we talk about colonial, pre-colonial era, see, gun is power. Do you understand? Though they used to say the pen is mightier than the gun, but the gun is power, is mighty. So I can understand when the government, no government would, not, like, let me say the government does not want to freely, easily grant people access to guns. It's not just about security. It's also a power tussle. Do you understand? So when governors are saying, give us access to guns, it's a form of power. Do you understand? So, like, as a private citizen, like I said earlier, you have that right, okay, to apply under that law. And the only issue is that they kept it at the discretion of the IG, the discretion of the president. You understand? But ordinarily, we should be able to exploit, and those discretion, I mean, there should be some form of rights attached to it. That's rather what.
Thank you very much, sir. Like I say, if you're joining us, you're welcome to Hey Let's Talk. Bolo Akinlawo, my man, I see you. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Hey Let's Talk. Welcome, my guy. Gabjul, I saw you. I see you on the show too. Welcome. Even though we know you. Okay, so the next question is, will this increase or reduce mortality rate to the hands of criminals like terrorists, assassins, ritual killers, kidnappers, etc.? Will this increase or reduce mortality rate to these people?
Yes.
Sweet_Candy, I see you. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, sure. So for me, guns are needed for self-defense. So if there are kidnappers that want to attack and there are matching ammunition, firearms to resist it, that is self-defense, and that reduces the impact of that attack. Sometimes you hear of raids in communities in the northern parts of Nigeria. Herdsmen just raid a community, kill, maim, and kidnap. Imagine where people have access to guns. There are more guns, firearms in the hands of their local security. Okay, the vigilante, they have access to more guns. I know why I say more guns and heavier guns, maybe giving that license to security, local security. And there are private citizens that you give the access to personal firearms for some level of personal protection. If there are those firearms in the hands of private citizens, they should be able to at least reduce the impact of such raids that leave a lot of casualties. That's my personal, sincere, candid view.
Another comment says the reason why it is permissible in the United States is because the use of guns for citizens was a foundational concept put in place to protect democracy in the face of an invading force. Nigeria has no similar provision in its constitution.
That's true. The only provision we have that looks like it is right to self-defense, Section 33(2)(a). So why don't we explore that? Do you understand? So right now, laws are made by humans. Do you understand? Constitution was a pact. People come together and say, let's do this. Why don't we come together and review the existing laws as per gun control in Nigeria? Why don't we you see what I said? There are calls. I'm not talking of one governor, two governors, three governors, here and there. They are calling for increased access to guns to protect citizens of their states. See, if you are in such states, okay, or practically, like I've said, who still travels easily by road? Do you understand? I read a joke. Somebody said, you know, in Nigeria it's very unique. You think the cost of traveling by road is high. Consider you think the cost of traveling, you know, in today's airlines, using airlines, okay, to travel, domestic airlines, to travel is maybe 100,000 to 150,000. You think that is high? Consider the cost of 5 million, 10 million, 50 million that you will use when you travel by road to bail yourself as ransom. So it's that bad. It's that bad. So when people are calling for access to guns, it's to, restore some form of sanity in the country.
Just yesterday, I'm sorry to bring this up. I think my brother wanted to find. He spoke to my mom and was like, "Do you have any vehicle that I could use because he wants to go to the east for a DJ program?" She just like, "East road, you will not go."
Do you understand?
because of the security level. That was the way she claimed.
Our regular security outfit, they are outnumbered. See, they can't be everywhere. Do you understand? How many military men will you push into the society? How many police do we have to match up with this? Do you understand? If you think it's enough, if you think our military that they're enough, they would have long ago dealt with Boko Haram and all the agitation.
The issue with Boko Haram is quite a very tricky reference.
Okay, let's not go there.
Because they could say, we could have dealt with them long ago, but then we have
political undertones. Let's leave that. But talk insecurity generally. Do you understand? If Nigeria's security apparatus is enough, it should have been dealt with. But you and I can attest that they are largely not enough. They are outnumbered. Do you understand? They can't be everywhere at the same time. So that's why when every country is moving to community policing now. Do you understand? Let private citizens all get involved. See, during NSAS, okay, when the insecurity kind of escalated, people started gathering in their streets to keep awake. Do you understand? So who told you that people cannot begin to muster themselves to fight back? Headers. That's what governors are calling for. That's part of the call for more increased access to guns. Licensed guns. Not like it will be flagrant, everywhere. But at least let's make some steps. Take some progressive steps. And on the issue of the cons, see, there are things that can be mitigated. Talk about improved database. Like I said, okay, there is a bill, okay, introduced last year. What's that name? Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons Bill 2021. The idea is to manage, if you look at it, basically the database issue. So they say let this IGP, let the Commissioner of Police, let them transmit all the data upwards. Do you understand? To a federal central agency that will manage it. So when we do that, yes, we can control it. If there is violence somewhere, eventually, bullets could be retrieved. The investigations, when we have proper data, maybe the fingerprints of the person we gave the license to or something, or the gun is retrieved. You know who gave a criminal the gun or who used the gun. So we can control those con areas.
Yeah, Official Mubi, I see you. Welcome. More comments says that the solution to this reason you have given for the need of gun is provision of adequate security, not increased access to gun, given the level of development Nigeria is currently at. Now, this kind of channels to my next question, one way or the other. But the truth of the matter is, Oladapo, right now, we know we've been shouting for the improvements in security, but now we are talking on scenarios that has to relate with our current situation. The improvement in security is what we are clamoring for, but now this discussion is tackling what we are currently facing and how to survive in it. We cannot be blinded to the fact that there is high level of insecurity in Nigeria. Now, the discussion is not go and keep shouting to the government to increase security. While we are still doing that, the discussion now is what can we do as citizens in this level of insecurity. So the discussion right now is to look for ways to deal with what we are already facing, not what we are optimistic about that will happen. You understand? So in as much as we buy into the idea of adequate security, with being an opinion and being something that we should clamor for, we need to deal with the casualties that citizens are already facing right now in this situation. But now you said something. Okay, another one. I see _King Dera _Derry joined the show. You're welcome, King Dera. Even if everyone has guns, for it to be effective, the person building it must have adequate training. How can the masses be adequately trained? That's one of the comments. But before we come into this aspect now, he said he said something. The solution to the reason you have given to the needs of gun is provision of adequate security, not increased access to gun, given the level of development in Nigeria. Given the level of development Nigeria is currently at, which channels me to this question: is Nigeria a safe and sane country enough for such law to be passed and practiced? Is Nigeria a safe and sane country? Do we have enough sanity for such laws to be passed and practiced?
So, let me put it this way. Laws are made actually to regulate human behavior. So, yes, what I'm trying to say in effect is that, yes, the law will not always, how do I put it? There are different schools of thought with regards to it, but let me stick to this. The law is there to actually regulate human behavior and human relationships. Do you understand? So it's not for me about whether Nigeria is sane enough. It's about whether we have the right laws and the will to enforce those laws, the apparatus to enforce the laws. So there is, what we are saying, for example, is, yes, I know that Nigeria is still largely behind and largely a developing country. We should be able to make progress. Where we have found ourselves today is what is triggering this clamor for increased access to guns for self-defense purposes, to at least mitigate the insecurity, the increased height of insecurity we're experiencing today. So whether we are saying or not, I don't know how to quantify that. Do you understand? But for me, are there laws and apparatus to enforce the laws? If we have, then why not? So if, for example, we succeed in, like I said earlier, it's not about access. Whether you like it or not, criminals will always access guns. Do you understand? Headsmen that are criminals will always access guns. So it's not about guns are in Nigeria as we are talking, like illegal guns. Do you understand? So it's either for us to play a docile role and continue to wait for president to come help us. And every day the news is gory. Every day you still hear of attacks and they will kidnap school children. What we are saying, why don't we now? Okay, there's this, I'm going to look at that after now. Check also police to citizen ratio in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Check those things. They are, like I said, largely outnumbered. I think it's about 1 to 400, the rating. How many police do you think can have access to the creeks where crimes are committed?
Sorry to digress a bit. Even on Wednesday, we spoke about the high level of exiting medical practitioners. And my guy on the show said the ratio of one doctor to citizen is ratio 1 to 5,000 right now in Nigeria.
Imagine, Do you know? So compare that. So we are in a very, very unsafe environment. And what we're saying is, people's lives should be valued and protected. And for me, except we have research work and data that will counter that opinion, but if increased access to gun control will reduce and deter these headmen and kidnappers from further taking siege over the country, then why not?
Okay, we have comments that I will need to read them before we go to the last question. Training for guns. Bolo Akinlawa says, training for guns is not a difficult thing. There are simple things you need to know about gun safety, and we can have gun ranges to practice. To practice. Someone says, nowhere in America, statistically speaking, has a private citizen stopped a terrorist attack or mass shooting. This renders the rationale of legalization of firearms. That's what someone else is saying. He said, nowhere in America, statistically speaking, has a private citizen stopped a terrorist attack or mass shooting. This renders the rationale of legalization of firearms. Now, Bolo went on to say, private citizens stop mass shooting in America often. There are over 3 million defensive users of guns in the US, and I don't see any reason why Nigeria can't be the same. 97% of mass shooting happen in gun-free zones in the US.
Fantastic. Thank you. If you studied US politics and gun control debate, you see they have a lot of gun-free zones. And they are even the areas where, like train stations, schools, they are the areas where mass shootings occur. They are still debating this between Republicans and Democrats. Yes, like I said earlier, you can never win this argument, left or right. But the fact is that if you have access to guns, I don't know who said that, like Steng or someone, I think, countered that opinion. If people have...
It's one of our audience from the UK.
Thank you. People have saved police, private citizens, check it, have assisted police. You understand? We have those records where private citizens that have access to guns shot a criminal that's attacking a police, saved the police. Do you understand? When people have access to those guns, what we should be discussing is, what mechanisms do we put in place to ensure that, number one, the people that we give these licenses are sane? That's why I don't want to talk about Nigerians. I'm not talking about the regular way on the street. I'm talking about Nigerian citizens that need to protect their property. They have right to protect their property. They have right to protect their family and their lives. The law gives you right to protect someone else's life. So if access to guns could help your neighbor when he's under an attack, do you understand? It's a this way and that way thing.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. And if you have been listening to us on Hey Let's Talk on Empire Radio 360, it should be Hannah 001. Wow. I wish you were here earlier because we've been talking extensively on legalization of arms for Nigerian citizens. So, Barrister, the last question I'm going to ask is, can this be helpful in situation of domestic violence?
Like increased access to guns.
Legalization, yes.
Like I said, I'm intentionally using increased access to guns.
Okay. Now that it is no longer legalization based on what you've explained to us, increased access to guns. In cases of domestic violence, can this help curb the situations or the casualties that come out from that kind of scenario?
This is very interesting. Okay. I always try to keep on this safe argument.
Okay, before we go, I'm sorry, sir, before we go on that, someone say, I do agree that we need tighter regulations in Nigeria and proper background check so we know only responsible people own guns.
Absolutely.
To add.
Yes, there must be that form of control. It's not that, yes, anybody, anyhow, free to, or, free for all. No. Okay. So, in the cases of domestic violence...
I am _Bandupe. You're welcome. Welcome. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, I always look at it this way. I don't see guns as something... They are mere weapons, just that they are easier to use weapons to either attack or ward off. Like they are more effective in comparison with other localized weapons that are accessible. Like I said, knives, cutlass. Domestic violence, most times, they still use knives. Do you understand? People use any object to assail their opponent. So it's not about gun. It's about understanding responsibility. So there should be orientation. Like even if we want to increase this access to guns in Nigeria, like the policy, want to set up policies to further adjust. I want to see the end of that law, that bill, okay, because I know that's part of what they are up to. If they can manage the entire database, like if we can really, really know who we gave these guns to, you understand, then we can manage it. We can revoke direct, so when you have a record of who misused gun in the home, you release the bullets in domestic environment, or you understand, you'll be banned for maybe 10 years, those kind of stuff. So you know that, see, you did it to yourself. So, but what I'm trying to say is, in domestic violence, people use knives. People use any weapon their hands can lay to assail themselves, including pestle. Do you understand? Anything. Home, there are a lot of things in the home that are weapons. So having access to gun, for me, does not necessarily increase violence. Necessarily. A violent person, for me, is naturally violent. The only thing is that we will say that for gun control, if you have we'll do background check like those who are in that committee, okay, carry out background check, and if you are a violent person, you have a track record of not being in control of your temper or some form of psychological evaluation, why not? You will not have access to guns. So because domestic violence is still about not having control.
The question actually is from the direction of if it can help
mitigate it. An assailant, a spouse that wants to attack.
Can this issue be helpful in situation? Not from cases of increasing criminality, from the place of defense.
Be generic. Generally, self-defense, having access to gun helps. But we have a law in some rules that guide self-defense. So that's why I have an issue. The one major rule in self-defense is that you use a matching form of resistance. So I can't, if it's in a home, I raise my hand, for example, Mr. Husband, no, let me, tease the ladies. The lady raises hand to slap the man. The man pulls a gun that he has license and shot the lady. And you say it's self-defense. No. Self-defense has rules. You cannot use a heavier form of a repellent. Do you understand? Repelling force. No, you should match it. So if somebody raises hand to slap you, the best you could do is raise hand to defend yourself. But somebody raises hand to slap you, nothing. You pull a knife and stab the person. It's not self-defense. You understand? But if someone pulls a gun, you already see him pulling the gun from the holster, and you have access to a gun, and you shoot the person first. That's self-defense.
What if it's a situation where the other person is probably a stronger person?
So it's always situational.
If you're measuring hand to hand, it might not be fair equation for a man to woman.
Absolutely. If you observe, I use a lady's hand. Naturally, ordinarily men are stronger. But yes, you're on point. What the rule is, it must be an equivalent force. So the law will settle it.
Okay.
Natural sense will settle that. Do you understand? Someone just wants to slap you. Do you understand? You pull a gun. That's what we're saying.
That's
You
true.
will claim it's self-defense. So in that regard, no. Use of gun does not necessarily, access to gun does not necessarily help in domestic issues.
Okay. And
strictly speaking.
before we round off, Bolu says for issues of domestic violence, the underlying issue is that we need people to be able to speak out immediately they are being abused, so they can be protected by the state. Self-defense is all about imminent threats to life, not necessarily matching weapons. For example, I can shoot a person trying to stab me with a knife. Does that go?
See, I didn't say matching weapon. I said equivalent force. You repel the force with an equivalent force. And obviously, yes, I didn't outline all the elements of self-defense. Imminent danger. It's not even just imminent danger. You knowing that there is an imminent danger is also an additional element. Like we move into self-defense strictly, okay? Someone raises a knife at your back. That's imminent danger. If you don't know,
No.
you didn't fulfill and you pulled a gun already and shot the person, that's not self-defense. See, these are technical aspects of the law. So we are saying there is imminent danger and you are aware of that imminent danger. Sorry, I'm going strictly technical.
No, it's allowed.
And I'm
It's
trying
fine.
to address
It's fine.
that issue of imminent danger. So it's not about matching weapon. We are saying equivalent force to repel the force. That's what we are saying. So if an equivalent force to a knife stab is a gun, absolutely. So it's all objective. Okay, it will be looked at objectively. That's what we are saying. Self-defense is not every time you use it that it's right. You, so to speak, use it that is right. That's what I'm saying. There are elements that guide to ensure that it's actually self-defense.
Wow, very elaborate discussion indeed. Okay, if you've been with us, you've joined. Okay, I get you now. Yes, and he gets you now.
Gotcha.
If you're joining us, we'll be rounding off right now. Hey, let's talk on Empire Radio 360. Yes, I still want to apologize for the lateness in our start time today and for the time we're about to round off the show. But of course, it was worth it, and I still enjoyed myself with you guys on the show. Barrister Ginika,
Yes,
I know you say you don't like what to call you, but don't like it, but
fine,
you
go
don't dim out already.
It's all right.
So as we round off this discussion of introduction, I don't know if it what's the word you read, you
Increased access.
increased access. Yes, as we round off the discussion in the increased access, my own part was legalization, but he made it aware. It made us know that it is already a legalized thing in Nigeria. As we round off, in our current state of Nigeria, how soon do you think we need this law to be more practicable?
Practically speaking, as soon as we are able to set up proper database and structure to manage and control the license and who uses it and how it's used. So I'm really looking forward to that law I cited, use of gun, small arms, 2021 bill. I'm looking forward to it. So as soon as we are able to set up, and I trust and I hope that the National Assembly, the presidency will hasten on that. Okay, let them show that they understand the challenges of Nigerians, that there is high level of insecurity that is making people to be scared of their lives every day. You are moving on the road, you're scared. It's not a good one. So as soon as possible, let's set up these structures. Set up at the apparatus. So monitor the use, properly monitor the use of guns.
Kati, I see you. Welcome. Kati X_4 Hundi, you're welcome. Barrister, final question that came to my mind is keep me during the show, but this is the last question. No matter what comes again, I'll try to ensure this is the last question. Is this fine with this law practiced in religious environments?
Sorry?
Let's assume this law has gotten its go-ahead to be more practicable, to be more in practice.
Okay.
Is it fine if these weapons or these arms are carried around even in religious environments?
The truth is that there will always be a no-gun zone. Always.
A religious environment, no gun zones?
I think there should be. There should be. That's
even
why,
with what happened in a war?
So that's why. So when we say no gun zone, doesn't mean like in school that the schools will not have security men guarding the schools. Yes, you increase security in the perimeters ordinarily. Do you understand? But inside, so because they were on, I I mean, it's about they gained from outside to inside. There was no repellent. Okay, so they
That's
had
so gory,
free
man.
access. So there is always gun-free zone. Always. So schools, I mean, like there are environments you don't need to see guns. That's the idea. Okay, but the perimeter before those environments, the perimeters should be well guarded. So I know that they are doing that. Schools have security, armed security guards, but I mean, they still manage it so that they don't put unnecessary tension in the kids. Okay, so the same thing goes for places of worship. Okay, it's not where we should be seeing somebody flagging a rifle, carrying a rifle, But then there should be maximum security check before people access religious places. That's what rather I think is fine. And those people who are carrying out the security checks should be properly armed.
Okay, religious institutions can have whatever policies they have regarding guns, in my opinion. They can just say it should be concealed. I am the Morgan, you're welcome, even though we're rounding off, you're welcome. He said something, I don't know if you got that. He said religious institutions can have whatever policies they have regarding guns, in my opinion. They can just say it should be concealed. Do you buy it?
So you see, that thing he mentioned about concealed gun is another topic on its own. Another topic. Because when we're talking about these licenses, concealed guns require special license. You are not supposed to carry concealed guns ordinarily. Do you
What
know
are concealed guns?
The guns you can hide, like nobody will see it.
Oh.
Usually pistols. You understand? Usually it's pistols. Small but powerful weapons. You understand? Like you take people off guard. Like it's a more restricted kind of ammunition to carry. Concealed guns.
So is that one more harder to get license for? Wow. As small as it is.
Okay, because you can access anywhere. Nobody will know. Nobody will know. But if you're carrying an AK-47, like people will start running from afar. You have entered where you want to harm people before they find out. That's concealed guns.
Wow. We must come to the end of the conversation. But Barrister, I want to say thank you so much for being on the show. I want to also say thank you to you, our viewers and our followers. In spite of our late time today, you still stuck with us and you were still on the show throughout with us. I want to say thank you so much. I'll be leaving you right now, but of course, it's the weekend. Try to use your weekend to relax. I know many of you always like to wash your clothes and don't, but relax. Try relax. And it's Friday as well. If you must flex responsibly. Don't harm yourself. Don't enjoy yourself. Till we come away again on Wednesday next week. Bye for now on Hey Let's Talk. And Barrister, once again, thank you so much. See you on next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.